Hi, this is Cajun, and it's time for a weekly conference call at vectorspaceai. First, we'll consider what's happening around the world, globally. 1/3 of New York's small businesses may be gone forever. That's a headline that was published in the New York Times recently. You can just multiply that worldwide by every large and small city. Another headline is Google is to buy a stake in ADT in a home security push for $450 million. That's likely one of the largest indicators from a bellwether predicting an upcoming crime wave, and we know that's just going to lead to more volatility in the markets. So something to look out for. Retailers are going bust and new retail strategies are arising, and that's similar to maybe a forest fire and then new regrowth happening as these retailers are trying to figure out new ways of generating revenue and surviving. But entirely new industries are popping up as well, and they all need data sets. Apple surpasses Saudi Aramco to become the world's most valuable company. So the markets are making new highs, companies are making new valuations, and Apple, I think, is worth, according to their market cap, about $1.8 trillion, headed for $2 trillion. And the way that they're valuing Apple, you might want to look that up. On the industry side, from the MIT Press, there's been a headline titled "The Field of Natural Language Processing is Chasing the Wrong Goal." And we've known this for quite some time. SOTA models are state-of-the-art models, beating academic benchmarks or standards is a lot different than beating real-world benchmarks or benchmarks based on affecting the bottom line of a company or the bottom line of an outright discovery that benefits humankind, or making billions to make that discovery. So we are on target in terms of our application in the area of NLP and NLU. On the crypto side, MasterCard and Visa have moved into a phase of mass crypto adoption. We'd highly recommend doing any kind of market research on what MasterCard and Visa are doing recently and what they've announced. It's a major positive for the crypto industry. Diginex is listing on the NASDAQ, and that's significant because the NASDAQ is one of our target markets to list. And this also represents a few hurdles in regulation that have been removed or resolved. So we kind of like it when people pave the way. That makes it a little more efficient for us. On the corporate side, we're continuing to engage in internal strategy and ongoing contingency planning, especially in an environment like this. We can't emphasize that more. When you're running a company and generating revenue, supporting customers, and adapting to a very uncertain environment, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of execution and facing the unknown, contingency planning. On the engineering and product side, that's steady as she goes. We're preparing the engineering pipeline to support scaling into large life sciences efforts, along with support for S&P Global and Bloomberg customers. Scaling a pipeline is critical. You've got to be able to support a huge influx of customers or a spike in customer demand. And that's what we're prepared to do. We're preparing to do that now. On the customers, partners, and collaborators side, we had a company called FactSet reach out to us. We'd recommend looking up who they are if you don't know who they are. They are a provider similar to S&P Global. They are a competitor to S&P Global, and they are interested in partnering with us on data sets because they have data and we have data sets. We have also had a private equity firm contact us interested in using the trial tier and also interested in the fact that we are using FactSet or S&P Global data sources. So that's an advantage that we have. We also have the advantage of passing on the cost, any cost, implementation, or any kind of partner upselling, related to partner upselling. Another interesting point is that this is all without our data sets being showcased at either S&P Global, FactSet, or Bloomberg so far. On the sales and marketing side, we've got a couple of people, we've got a team, a group handling sales and marketing, led by myself, and a few updates from that group include the following, and I'm just going to go over a few raw notes. Sometimes it's a lot more efficient for us to provide company updates by going over raw notes. So just bear with me for a second. But so far, there have been optimizations to screening the incoming leads and focusing on revenue generation opportunities related to tightening up the Salesforce pipeline. That makes sense. This took a little time to get done. Exactly. Point 2, a couple of SOWs have been produced. These are statements of work. One has been provided to a company in South Africa, and another has been provided to a private equity group. And we are waiting to hear back from them. Some customers will request SOWs. Sometimes we'll offer them depending on what kind of work they need related to any data, proprietary data that they have that might need to be pre-processed or massaged, wrangled in any way. We've sent out a communication to every inquiry that we've had on the dataset side, informing them of our Alpha Week article. And sales and marketing is continuing to work with S&P Global and FactSet at this point. By the way, FactSet is a publicly traded company, and let me pull up their symbol. I think it's FDS. Yes, it is FDS. They trade on the NYSE at $348 a share and have a $13 billion market cap, so they're pretty well equipped to support a partnership. On the IR, PR, and Marcom side, we've finally gotten the Alpha Week article published, the first in a series, and we're looking forward to our next article. We've got a Korean version of the article that we'll be publishing either this evening or tomorrow. And that's a Korean language version of the article that will be distributed to our Korean language community members and investors. We've got our PR agency collaborating with us closely on a set of videos. And these videos are going to be nice, cool demo videos. They're going to describe who we are, what we do, and the benefit of the platform that we've built, and how it impacts solving anything from infectious disease to protecting alpha. And it's also steady as she goes on all other efforts discussed in our previous conference calls. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to any of the previous calls, that would be a good idea, as everything is connected here. And we've got a lot of moving parts, and we're not going to go over every moving part on every call. Next, we've got questions from the trader base. The first question is, how does this smart basket algorithm differ from traditional instruments / methods like trading bots, quant analysis? ? And how does vectorspace quantify the value of this? This is a very good set of questions with a very good set of answers. Let's handle this starting with the trading bots. The trading bots are garbage, number one. Any group that's trying to get you to use their trading bot, have them talk to us. We would be very interested in understanding their algorithmic design behind the returns and understanding if they even know what kind of Sharpe or Certina ratio their bots are providing. Let alone whether or not their bots have made money in a down market and whether or not they have properly done backtests and so forth. So any backtests that they have done should be not just backtests and not just backtests based on synthetic data or a synthetic market, which is an emulated market, but should be done in a real market with real money. The groups that design the algos either know they don't work or have never fully tested them. That's a note that I made on this. Not many make money on standard bots in a down market, and most are scams. That's very important to keep in mind. If the bots were so good, they'd be using them themselves. Ask them if they have some kind of internal bot they're using to make money and providing the public with a watered-down version. At any rate, if there's a bot that you think you might want to try, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be willing to do due diligence on their algorithmic approach. On the quants side, so again, the question, how does our algorithm set differ from what a quant does? What quants mainly do is work with time series data sets. Our data sets are designed to augment time series, and they're based on natural language processing correlation values, natural language understanding, and context. There's only a handful of quants out there that apply the tip of the spear approaches in deep learning and NLP and NLU for the purpose of extracting a signal or protecting alpha. As a company, we're here to help them do that. That's exactly why we exist. We're here to help them do some of the heavy lifting to get to that point. I think that is what a lot of the public does not realize yet, but that's a lot of what the internal discussion is made up of when we talk to data engineers inside these firms and these groups and these funds and these life sciences organizations, these pharmaceutical companies. It's really all about absolutely not putting a process in front of them that makes whatever they do irrelevant, but augments what they do. And that's what we do. And that gives them an edge. You mentioned traditional instruments. Traditional instruments is mentioned in this question here. So how does our smart basket and algorithm differ from a traditional instrument? A traditional instrument might be considered an index, or an ETF, or an ETN, or a basket of some kind, or a dynamic portfolio of some kind, or it might be considered a theme, thematic investing, or a thematic basket, something that Motif or iShares has done. And when companies like that build baskets or themes or indices, ETFs, it's usually based on a manual curation and market researchers getting together and making decisions. We take an algorithmic approach initially, and then optionally we can optimize with human curation. That's one thing that we do differently. And traditional instruments include a lot of manually constructed themes that take days to construct. Ours can construct them within seconds, can construct baskets that have components that have non-obvious relationships to one another. And we do this algorithmically, using data sets and producing data sets designed to detect these kinds of relationships between entities and objects in general. And in this case, between events, equities, and cryptos. In other cases, between publicly traded pharma companies, drug compounds, and genes. For life sciences, genes, proteins, drug compounds in the context of COVID-19. So you might see where we're going here into every industry. We've had multiple industry players reach out to us for trials, and that's just the proof in the pudding. We're going to be expanding into more of a human-in-the-loop direction, and that would include curation and refinement, also deep learning methods applied to filtering the components in the basket, along with weighting capital across these components, and graph networks of baskets. You might say trees of baskets, nodes and edges. So we understand that human-in-the-loop is the future of AI, and that's why we're supporting this and headed in that direction. There's machine intelligence is going to be different from human intelligence. That's our stance, and because of that, they'll complement one another. Our next question, actually, let me answer the second part of that question as well. So it was how do our baskets differ from traditionals, and how does vector space quantify the value of this? Okay, this is a good segue into the next question, next answer, which relates to the Sharpe ratio. So we use the Sharpe ratio. We've used the Sharpe ratio in the past, and we found that based on our research, based on results, gains, returns, and measuring risk, that the Sortino ratio is better. And that's what we use to quantify the value of our pipeline. We don't use popular academic standards or benchmarks. We use the market. The next question is, based on some cursory searches, if a fund was to trade only in these short baskets, anything over a ratio of 3 would make it one of, if not the best, Sharpe ratios amongst all reporting hedge funds. And as a side note, this is because we did achieve a Sharpe ratio above 3 on the short side for a year's worth of time. Continuing, should we expect a significant fall-off in Sharpe ratio if each basket had an allocation of 100 million? For example, or what is the most that a $10 billion hedge fund would likely allocate for each basket? Okay, so the answer to this question is the amount of capital deployed per basket per session has the potential to move the market and affects returns. And it's these returns per trading period, however you define that are factored into the Sharpe ratio. So yes, indirectly it will affect. If you if you're affecting returns by moving too much money, then yeah, you're going to affect the Sharpe ratio over the Sortino ratio. So another reason we use the Sortino ratio, there are a few other reasons here. It's because it does not throw away all the positive returns and takes the standard deviation of negative returns. And I'm quoting from an article titled A Sharper Ratio by Red Rock Capital. Pretty good article describing the differences, advantages, and disadvantages of the Sharpe and Sortino ratio. So I hope I've been able to answer those questions. If you have any other sorry, we have one more question here. And before that, if you do a search in our channel for the term Sortino ratio, you'll find that citation titled A Sharper Ratio by Red Rock Capital. You can also use our search feature in our Telegram channel to search for a number of things related to any kind of due diligence related to our industry or ourselves. The next question is there currently anyone on the team, such as a vice president, who's capable of leading in the team if occasion takes a leave of absence? Okay, maybe they mean if I were abducted by aliens. Here's the answer. Yes, we're leaving a number of board level, C-level, and VP roles open as we expect to allocate a board seat to a strategic partner or a certain C-level person that we classify or term as a key hire, and that could be a partner. Fortunately, we do have a chain of command. We currently are staffed with veterans in the industry, and those are veterans on all levels, strategic, scientific, engineering, and executive levels. And that includes operations and a general manager. Some of our team also include trusted serial founders with good reputations that can step in at any moment and fill any role if necessary. Oh, it looks like we have one more question. Have there been reactions from companies after they've read the Alpha Week article? Yes, we've had a few funds and one private equity firm contact us for trials, and we've had 100% positive reaction to the article. We have gotten feedback related to how the window of the returns, and the to-date returns. They're obviously much greater for the coronavirus basket. So it's certainly worth having a look at that article. We have, like I mentioned before, we've translated that article to Korean, so if you need a Korean version, just let us know. And finally, we're going to skip the data set insight section here to save a little time. On the strategy side, we got another invite from Elastic to do a write-up and a video. So we're thinking it's resource intensive though on our part, and right now we're focused on revenue generating customers. So we might combine what Elastic is offering on the video side with the video efforts related to GEM, our PR firm. Our focus is really going to be working with our financial information providers and fastest path to revenue partnerships and so forth. And that would include advancing our dialogue with FactSet and working with S&P Global's dataset group to go ahead and announce to the world their customer base that we're available there, and working with Bloomberg's group, due diligence group, in terms of vetting our data sources and who we are. We're also working with our customers on the trial tier, migrating them to updating dataset packages. And to us, this is nothing but revenue generation and growth while we continue to deliver novel datasets in advancing personalized medicine and drug repurposing in the fight against the virus. So this has been a pre-recorded call. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us online via our Telegram channel and post them there. Thanks for joining. Bye.